My name is Linda. I'm 65 years old, retired, and I've lived in the same neighborhood for nearly 3 decades. Some people say it's quiet here, too quiet, but I've always found comfort in the predictable rhythm of my days. Mornings start with gospel music playing softly on the radio while I cook my oatmeal. I water my plants, wipe down the kitchen counters even when they're already clean, and sit by the window sipping tea from the same floral mug I've used since my children were little. I've never thought of myself as lonely, just settled. That's why the knock at the door on that Tuesday afternoon felt like an interruption. It was the kind of knock that's too hesitant to be official, but too steady to be a neighbor. I opened the door and found a young man, maybe in his 30s, standing on my porch. He was holding a set of keys and looked confused. "Sorry to bother you," he said. "I think I locked myself out. I just moved into the house across the street." He looked embarrassed. Not shady. Just new. Something about the way he spoke reminded me of my grandson. Polite, careful, like the world had taught him to tiptoe. I offered him a seat on my porch while he waited for the locksmith. "Want some sweet tea?" Yes. His face lit up. "Yes, ma'am. That would be great." We sat in the late afternoon sun, the cicadas humming in the background. His name was Darren. He worked in IT, had moved here from the city to get some space and peace. "This neighborhood is slower than what I'm used to," he said with a chuckle. "You'll get used to it," I replied. Stillness can be good for the soul. That first conversation was only about 10 minutes long, but it shifted something in me. For the first time in a while, I found myself looking forward to sitting outside. I'd water the porch plants and wonder if Darren would wave on his way to work. Sometimes he did. Sometimes he didn't. But I noticed myself hoping. A week later there was another knock. This time he wasn't locked out. He had baked banana bread and thought I might want some. "It's not as good as Grandma's," he warned. "But it's edible." It wasn't just edible. It was delicious. We started sharing little moments. Coffee on Saturdays. Walking through the farmer's market downtown. Once, he even helped me move a heavy planta box, and I joked that I'd have to start charging him rent for all the time he was spending on my porch. But there was something more than just casual neighborly kindness. He asked about my childhood, about my dreams, about the story behind the hummingbird tattoo on my wrist that most people never noticed. "You were wild once," he teased. "I still am," I replied with a smirk. For the first time in years I felt seen. Not as someone's grandmother, or someone's retired Sunday school teacher, but as Linda. One afternoon I found an old paint set in my closet. I hadn't touched it in 20 years. The brushes were stiff, but the colors still looked alive. I set up a canvas by the window and painted until my fingers cramped. Darren stopped by and saw the painting. "You made this." I nodded, suddenly shy. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "You should do more. This is beautiful." And just like that, something clicked. I started painting every day. The house began to smell like turpentine and lavender. I played jazz instead of gospel in the mornings. I even signed up for a local art fair. Darren didn't change my life with romance or grand gestures. He changed it by showing up, by listening, by reminding me that I wasn't done yet. That kindness, his and mine, led to a friendship that healed parts of me I didn't realize were bruised. Not every story is about falling in love. Some are about standing back up. And sometimes all it takes is a knock on the door,